It's Lunchtime with Ira, live from the Las Vegas Hilton.
How come there's nothing, and I have to speak up for him, how come there's no merchandise for George? George, of course, is Liberace's brother,
right.
And he was part of the act for many years.
He always wished his brother George could be here, and I think that in spirit, that's always the way we talk about that a lot, because he was a vital part of his musical career as a music director, and he has his place in spirit at the museum, I promise.
And I think George would enjoy wearing these shoes as well. I know that when I walk around in the shoes in public and so forth, which I do a lot, people stop me on a constant basis, so much so that I now carry cards, so that when people ask me about the shoes, I can just hand them a Liberace card so they can go to the website and buy one. So it's very attention-getting, and certainly George enjoyed his share of attention.
Now,
How many times was he married, Darren?
5, I think.
5 times. Now, part of the thing what Darren was talking about, which is great, is that part of the proceeds of the sale go to support the scholarship, which is an integral part of the Liberace Museum. Do you see, because we were there during the summer, do you see the museum and the physical museum, do you see it changing either location or changing in terms of a whole different building?
Our board of directors has given a lot of consideration to that. We have it's a wonderful piece of real estate right there at Tropicana and Spencer. So it's one of our most valued assets as part of the foundation. But there's also a sense of tradition there. That's where Liberace started that museum. The building that sits on the corner, he started, will be 30 years ago in '09. And we believe that in a town that has so much transition, there's some value to being stable and having been in one place. We would certainly entertain discussions with on-strip properties or large properties who want to potentially have a satellite museum. We've discussed that, having a car and/or a costume in a couple of places that help drive traffic to our physical location.
Do you ever get a request to borrow, on a temporary basis, of course, for perhaps one evening, for one of the Liberace gowns or anything like
the
that?
capes, and one of the reasons that Wes was generous to let you use his costume today, capes and costumes are sacred ground for us, and nobody wears those at this point.
Well, I feel honored that Wes allowed me to wear his.
Wes has a creative wardrobe of his own, and Wes has really designed a lot of fabulous costuming that really reflects Liberace's flair. But our costumes, we've had to start and adopt the collection fund, because the costumes are all now at least 20 plus years old, and they're very delicate, they're very heavy. The costume that inspired the butterfly shoe, for example, that costume has a lead weight in the shoulders because it needed to counterbalance balance the trail as Liberace went downstairs. So they're very, very delicate, and we spend a lot of time taking really delicate care of those. So not available for loan. We do have the potential to loan the costumes for an installation other places, though, and we've taken our cars a couple of interesting places recently for the shoe show. For example, we loaned out a pink Volks-Royce.
That makes sense.
It was wonderful. We were able to bring it into the convention center and put it right in the middle of the booth so that people got a sense of really the Liberace tradition and how he got into the car and was brought across the stage. Many of his costumes were so heavy that getting from backstage to where he was going to perform was pretty much impossible, so the cars became a part of that, where they would match. He would be brought right out and take a twirl in the cape, but be much closer to his eventual destination.
Yeah, you couldn't fly him out on a lot of those capes. I mean, it would snap the cable.
Yeah, interestingly enough, one of his most famous flying excursions is in a purple ostrich feather cape, and the cape itself, simply by volume, is quite heavy because of what it has to have for beading and lining and to hold all of the feathers. And that he wore in his last 2 weeks of performances at Radio City Music Hall in '86. And he flew out over the audience and said, "Mary Poppins, eat your heart out." So yeah, that's the things I've learned since I was on here the first time about how much fun this man had and how much fun he gave his audiences really has helped me to embrace the inner Liberace within, so to speak.
Do you see beyond the shoes developing all other kinds of brand extensions of Liberace?
We want Liberace to be a part of people's lives in every format.
For example, I'm thinking, the shoes work well. What about a suit? Not a cape or gown, but a suit that would look like
Karen has
Liberace.
designed a beautiful line. Karen Feder, Fame Farm, has designed a beautiful line of purses and bags.
So we will be extending this into a new line of handbags and purses. Also, we're looking at eyewear, which makes a lot of sense, and certain other great categories where it's a natural for Liberace and these fun and the bling to be extended.
Now tell our audience, a lot of people don't know, how did the two of you get together? In other words, how did you find Michael and Karen, or did they find you, or how did that work?
They found us. They're a team of incredibly creative people who were there before I got there, actually, and doing work on these initiatives long before I got there. And they both have a passion for our mission, for that collection. Karen volunteers in our collection to painstakingly do rebeading and care and preservation, in addition to their commercial work with us. So.
There's one item I could suggest for the Liberace Museum. Now, it'd be spectacular, but also would kind of damage the existing stuff in there. I say stuff in a nice way.
Thank you.
The gowns and the capes and even the cars. I mean, here's my idea. Are you ready? The dancing waters.
Ah.
Put the dancing waters in the Liberace Museum. The only thing is, it's spectacular, but it gets everything wet.
Maybe the Bellagio could turn over their fountain house once a month, and we could put glitter in the water.
There you go. Yeah. Maybe you could put the gowns on racks, the capes on racks, and just bring them out there in front of the dancing waters that way. Could that work?
We'll have that conversation.
Darren's gnashing his teeth. I don't think he likes the concept of.
I love your this program that you provide so much information about entertainment in this town. But let's go back to the creative drawing board with set design, okay?
Now, what sizes? We're almost done with our segment, but sizes on shoes is it everything from?
Basically,
like I'm a 10, for example, and I'm wearing
6, 7 to 13 is what's currently available in production. But since these have been on the shelf, we've learned a lot about sizing shoes, and so has the manufacturer. So
we're going to be pushing down into children's sizes. There's been a great demand.
I think, yeah, I could see that easy.
Grandparents are looking for these for their grandchildren.
Yeah, I can see that. What about the idea I brought up in the initial beginning of the interview, where having a microchip in there so you can hear "I'll be seeing you" or something like that play while you're walking?
It's interesting.
Or you can activate it with an on-off switch.
One of the things we have under development right now is a shoe sole which would incorporate your MP3 player. So you're not too far off, and we'll have. Hopefully,
I try not to be too far off.
We'll have more.
Doesn't always work.
That's why you have a TV show.
Exactly.
We'll have more to talk about maybe the next time you invite us on.
Okay, fair. Well, you guys are always welcome, because you always come in with some interesting stuff. Before we finish, we have just a quick thought. Darren, since you've been with them, what's the biggest thing you've noticed change-wise with the whole operation since you've been with them?
People are just more aware that Liberace is really still in our midst. His presence really still has a huge impact and provides a lot of fun for a lot of people. We have 72 scholars this year whose lives are being touched, and the organization had not been able to effectively partner with people in the community like you to share that message with enough people.
I thank both of you for being on the show.
Thank you. Always good to see you.
Thank you. Darren Hollingsworth, with the Executive Director of Liberace Museum and Foundation, and Michael Feder from Fame Farm, who designed these shoes and other items available on Liberace.org. And then, of course, I can always visit you guys at the Liberace Museum right here in Las Vegas.
Absolutely.